Hello! I have filmed this intro like 5 times. I cannot speak today, and this is like not the video for me to not be able to speak in. Anyway, I'm just gonna jump right in. Okay, today we're talking about depersonalization and derealization. Now I will be focusing mostly on depersonalization, less so derealization, but I will talk about both of them kind of, you know, at least a little briefly on derealization. And this is also a drinking game video, so take a shot every time I say depersonalization or derealization. Just kidding, please don't do that. Okay, so let's start with the difference between depersonalization and derealization. I'm gonna say these words so many times in this video. Can I just call them DP and DR? Is that okay? DP is basically when you are detached from one's self. So you're detached from your body, your thoughts, your memories. They just don't feel like your own. You feel more like an outsider and someone looking in towards yourself, kind of like out of body, than living within your body. And derealization, or DR as I'm going to call it in this video, is more so not recognizing your environment, and also you have more visual changes, so your field of vision might change, you have some fuzziness going on. They often coincide together and happen at the same time and happen together, so that's why I'm going to kind of more so focus on depersonalization, because that's the bigger one and the one that I think happens a little bit more frequently, and derealization is most likely another kind of part of depersonalization. So this is something that I've actually personally experienced kind of recently since having this new job. I say it's kind of related to the job situation. I'll get into my own story about my symptom of depersonalization when I experienced it. I did not experience derealization really, not really, but I will talk more about my experience with it, and then I have kind of another testimonial from someone, from one of you guys, that I will read anonymously of their experience with depersonalization / derealization. So let's jump right in. So the general definition for depersonalization, I'm so over saying that word already, are basically when they feel like their thoughts don't belong to them and they lose all sense of their personal identity. Like I said, you feel like outside of yourself, like an outsider, an observer looking in towards yourself, and you feel very numb to all your emotions and memories and thoughts, and you feel numb to everything around you, and you also feel like you're kind of out of control and you can't control what you're thinking or what you're saying. People also say that it feels very dreamlike, very vague, like it's not real. And these are actually symptoms of dissociation. So that's important to know, is that this is basically dissociating from your thoughts, your body, your feelings, your emotions. They're not really sure what causes this emotion or this feeling of depersonalization, but it can be rooted in anxiety, other mental illnesses such as depression, PTSD, panic disorder. So it can be a symptom of one of these other mental illnesses. It can also be a side effect of trauma, like a car accident. You feel like you have an out-of-body experience, like you're out of control. You feel like you're not living it and like it's not real. It can be a side effect of epilepsy, migraines, and even some drug use. So I personally believe that anxiety is... Oh, my camera's dying. Cool. Anxiety is basically what triggered mine, is what I understand it to be. I did talk through it a little bit with my therapist. But I was going through a really bad patch with my anxiety a few months ago, kind of recently as well. So I've just been feeling so overwhelmed. I had a lot going on, as you guys know. I've shared some of it with you guys as far as moving and things like that. And I just felt like I was going through a lot, and I had really severe anxiety and trying to adjust to the new job. And it was, I think it's kind of related to the new job, because I was feeling a lot of anxiety about it. And I've experienced depersonalization, I think like 2 times, I can say, like definite. And they both happened on a Monday. Today's a Monday. Anyway, so both times it kind of began when I was driving, which that's not a pleasant feeling. I already have a little bit of driving anxiety, and it's probably that contributed to the feeling. And sometimes when I feel extreme anxiety, I feel like I'm going to pass out. I never have passed out. Obviously that doesn't make a lot of sense, because you pass out when your blood pressure drops severely, and when I'm feeling anxious, my blood pressure is not down here, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know why I get super like paranoid. I'm like, should I pull over? Like, I'm gonna pull over. And I get over a couple lanes and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna pull over. But I'll just drive in the slow lane sometimes, because I'm like, if I pass out, I hope I go right and not left into all the traffic. I've never passed out at the wheel, obviously. But so I feel like that is what triggered it, and it was very strange. It's such a, I think explaining it like a dream state and vague and like not reality is very accurate. I felt completely not like myself, and it wasn't a convenient time. I was going to work, and this happened, I felt most of it while at work, and it was so distracting and strange because like I knew something was wrong and I couldn't really pay attention to what my boss was saying. I felt like I was just going through the motions, which is something that other people have explained. So I was like, like you're saying stuff, you're trying to be normal, but it doesn't feel like you, it doesn't sound like you. It feels like you're out here like looking at yourself, living, just trying to be normal, and it's the weirdest feeling, and it causes so much anxiety because you're like, do other people know? Am I like outside my body right now? What is happening? It's a very stressful, very scary emotion or feeling, and not pleasant, and I had never experienced it before in my life until the last few months, and it was so weird because I was planning on doing this video a while ago, never having experienced it. So I believe mine was rooted in anxiety. However, I need to state that there's a big difference between feeling it once in a while and having depersonalization disorder. That's a much more serious case and much less common. Actually, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, otherwise known as NAMI, predicts that up to 50% of adults will experience depersonalization at least once in their lifetime. 50%. That's half of you guys. Half of you will probably experience this as well. Way more common than I thought it was. Made me feel a little bit better, honestly, because mine was just like a controlled time. It wasn't like a disorder. So I'd love to hear down below if you've experienced it and your story with it as well. Alright, now that we kind of have an overview of what depersonalization is, we're going to talk about depersonalization disorder, which is an actually ongoing, lasting disorder where they feel this emotion not constantly, but more than maybe me feeling it a couple times in a few months. So we mentioned you feel completely detached from your body. There's a disconnect there from your emotions, your thoughts, your physical presence. Some people lose their sense of smell, taste, and touch, so they will feel the need to pinch or hit themselves to start to feel normal again. You don't identify with what you see in the mirror, so your reflection feels like a stranger to you. Some people will avoid their reflection altogether, will avoid mirrors, and sometimes if it's serious and debilitating enough, they will avoid hanging out with people and going out in public because they don't feel like themselves. So it's common that when you feel depersonalization, you also feel derealization, which is the disconnect from your environment as well. The world feels unfamiliar to you. You don't really recognize your surroundings or the people that you're speaking to or just around. You will have higher sensitivity. Your field of vision might expand or decrease. 3D objects might seem more exaggerated. You'll feel like a robot and you're kind of just going through the motions trying to appear like a normal human being, but you don't feel as if you're in control or you're actually living it. You feel more like an observer, observing someone else living. And sometimes there's no ability to feel any emotion at all. You may think your memories belong to someone else. You have trouble taking in new information, paying attention. You might experience confused thoughts and feel as though your memories are so far off and far away that they cannot be your own. And lastly, you know something is wrong. You're not being delusional. You are not aware of what's going on. You know something isn't right and that your brain, something is off with your perception. So as far as treatment goes, basically talk therapy is the most effective, but because it is a side effect of other mental illnesses, other treatments for mental illnesses such as medication for depression and anxiety can often help the feelings of depersonalization, derealization as well. And lastly, I'm going to share with you a little bit of some information. There's one of you guys that has, I think, come to me or I talked about it, and they said that they struggle with depersonalization, and I asked some more information just to kind of better understand it before ever having experienced it myself. And so I thought I would share with you a little bit of their experience with it. So basically they have a background of anxiety and depression from in high school, and they have since kind of gotten over that. And they say, when I'm very stressed or I have really bad days with my anxiety, I get depersonalization. And it had been sparked by some news that they had gotten about someone in their life, some bad news. And as I mentioned before, it could be triggered by trauma or severe anxiety. So in this case, the bad news that they had gotten had triggered it, and they just became numb to everything and had experienced depersonalization for a few days. They describe it, which I love this definition, as taking a ride on my own shoulder. And one of the ways that they had heard that helps with this feeling and emotion is to try to connect with what's around you. You think about everything, how everything feels, smells. So that's kind of their explanation of how they experience it and how they feel. And from what I can tell, it's triggered by events and things, which sounds like what had happened to me personally. And I'm not actually sure if they have the depersonalization disorder or they just experience it a couple times here and there when it's triggered by certain events. But I do like the explanation of taking a ride on your own shoulder, because you know it's yourself, you know that you are who you are. It's not a complete disconnect, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like you are who you are. It doesn't feel like your thoughts, your emotions. When you speak, it doesn't feel like your words. So like I said, please share your experiences with depersonalization and or derealization down below in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, since it is a very common thing that a lot of us will experience at one time or another in our lives. So hopefully you guys get a better understanding for what depersonalization is from this video if you've never experienced it yourself, and let me know some other videos that you want me to film down below. Don't worry, Halloween videos are coming very, very shortly. I'm still working on them. I'm a little bit behind, you know, but that's okay. We still got a month and a half, so we're good. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.